Welcome along to Life Off the Stage with me, Richard Beauvoisin. Now, this is a very special episode, not our normal Ciroc teachers on this occasion, but somebody who you might know for something slightly different. Anyway, let's get on with it. Episode 6. My guest today is a taxi dancer, golfer, tennis player, plasterer, dancer, and one of the nicest people you will get to meet. You may know him slightly better for being an Olympian or a rubber chicken, though. Today, on Life Off the Stage, is the multi-talented Mike Edwards. Welcome along, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a very nice intro. That's one of the nicest intros I've ever heard.
Is it? Now, we've
Yeah.
known each other a while, and it's quite interesting that when I spoke to you about doing this, I was saying to you, we were on the golf course, and I was saying,
You were?
what questions do you want me to ask? What questions don't you want me to ask? And how many times have you been interviewed over the years? And you've come up with thousands.
I have had literally thousands, probably tens of thousands of interviews over the years. I mean, it's been 33 years since Calgary, and I was doing interviews before that as well, at least 4 or 5 years before that. So I have been interviewed for probably 40 years or more.
Wow.
And and I don't think there is a single question that I've never been asked. There are questions that I like to be asked, and there are questions, more importantly, that I do not like to be asked. So
Okay. Now, I know we've had that conversation, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't made any notes about which ones you didn't want to be asked. So, yeah, we'll see if we get down to that point. But importantly, as I say at the beginning of all of these interviews, I have to internet stalk my guests. Okay, now for yourself, it was slightly different. Okay, but if you type in Mike Edwards, okay, then you get these 4 people first coming up: an English cellist, a footballer, an American footballer, or a high jumper. If you type in Michael Edwards, you get a different footballer, a Liverpool footballer, sporting director, an American actor, or a barrister. And you're none of
wow,
those people. Obviously, if you type in Eddie the Eagle, you get something slightly different. But yeah,
yeah.
you as a person, we don't actually get that much online about, which I thought was fascinating.
Yes, yes. In fact, the only Michael Edwards I know was chairman of British Leyland, and that's going back 40 years or so.
No, there's many more. He's well down the list now.
Oh my word, he was top of my list back then. I thought there's another Michael Edwards, but yeah,
No,
I
no,
don't know.
no,
I don't
no,
meet many.
no.
Mind
See,
you, I don't meet many Eddie Edwards as well. There are a few. I think there's an Eddie Edwards tennis player.
yep.
So, but other than that, I'm not quite sure. So, but
I
of course,
didn't.
Eddie is my nickname rather than my real name. So,
It is, yeah.
yeah.
Where did that come from then? I'm going to do the classic question.
Yeah, that's number 5 in the top
I
100
was going to say,
questions.
have you got an actual list?
Yes, yeah. Eddie comes from Edwards.
Edwards.
When
I
I
thought it
was
might
born Michael Edwards, and then when I went to infant school, all my friends at infant school used to call me Ed because of Edwards, and then Ed went to Eddie. So I've always been known as Ed or Eddie. And then when I started skiing, I used Eddie Edwards rather than Michael Edwards, and I'm so glad I did, because then Eagle was great for Eddie the Eagle, whereas Michael, what can you think about Michael?
be.
So yeah, I'm glad I kept my nickname, and yeah, so people know me as Ed or people know me as Mike.
It's quite strange. When I first met you, I was like, obviously, I knew who you were and all of that, and it must be very strange for you being in the dancing environment, which is obviously how I know you. For people to be looking at you and going, "Oh, it's him still." I don't know if you ever still feel that ever when you go to a new venue or something like that.
That is one of the worst questions I get asked is, do I get recognized a lot or things like that? And I don't know, because I don't look for it.
No.
But people are, quite open, and they say, "Oh, you look familiar," and things.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if people ask me my name, if I'm dancing, I'll always say Michael, because I'm doing my own thing. This is my personal thing that I like to do as Michael. Where it's not my kind of work as Eddie Edwards
No.
or Eddie the Eagle. So whenever I dance and they ask me my name, I always say Michael. If they already know me as Eddie, or if somebody has told them that it's Eddie, then that's fine. But I'll always say Michael.
Well, today
Um,
is about Michael Edwards. It's
yeah,
not about Eddie the Eagle Edwards. So
yes,
we're
and
definitely going to stay down.
which is quite nice. But I generally do not look for, whether people recognize me. I did when I was, from Calgary, but then everybody, because I was on the papers
You were
for,
everywhere.
for for months and TV all over the world and stuff, and so I didn't have to look for it because it was so obvious. Nowadays it's not so obvious, but I don't look for it, and I
I didn't
certainly
think it
don't
was.
court it as well.
I did think it was strange the other day. As I said, we played golf together, and we were standing behind the first tee, and we were having a chat and blah blah blah, whatever it was. And the chap came over to us, and I thought, oh, he's just going to give us a bollocking because he was taking his tee shot, and then he came over and he went, "Are you Mr. Edwards?" And I was like, I forget who you are most of the time.
Yeah, that's
I know
nice.
you as
Yeah,
Mike Edwards.
yeah. And
Um,
that's what I like. I like people just to treat me normally, treat me. If people know me as Mike, then that's great. And I just want to be treated just like anybody else. But it is nice when people do come over and say, "Oh, I love the film. I remember what you did 33 years ago. It was brilliant." And that's nice when they do come up. But I still just want to be treated just like anybody else. And if I've upset somebody, then tell me I've upset you or whatever. You don't need to put on any airs and graces or anything like that. Just treat me like any other normal person. And that's what
I,
I like.
I always have done. I always
Yeah.
have
Oh,
done. Now,
you have. Yes.
I know one of the most important things to you, and this is something that I'm guessing not that many people know about you. Okay, but you have a stack next to you, don't you, of one of the most important companies ever. Okay, now we are going to do a quick bit of advertising here. Okay,
This is one of about 8 stacks of cups because I normally use a refillable one. But of course, because of the COVID situation, we're not allowed to take them in and they don't refill your cups. So I've had to use all these paper cups. So instead of just using them once and throwing them away, I keep them and then I use them at home. So I don't wash up anymore because I just use my Greg's cups. But I also use them for plastering. If I'm mixing up a small amount of mix, then I can use the cups to make sure I get the mix right.
so
So
obviously you were known originally as the plasterer that turned into a ski jumper. That was kind of
yes.
one of the things, and I don't think people realise you still plaster.
I do, yeah, not very often, and I only do it really now for friends and family. At the moment, I'm rebuilding a shed for my sister. My brother was supposed to do it. He promised her he would do it 2 years ago, and he still hasn't rebuilt the shed. So she's asked me to come over and do it. So I'm spending a week over there doing that. But yeah, I still do a bit of plastering. A friend of mine is a builder, and whenever he does an extension, he usually gives me a ring and says, "Have you got a few days? Can you come over and do some plastering for me?" And I'm quite happy to do it. But I only do it now really for friends and family because the worst thing with plastering was not so much doing the plastering, it was the money and trying to get the money. And some people were really bad payers and they would take a year or two to pay me and all that kind of thing. And I just think, oh, I don't want that hassle anymore. So, which
No.
is why I tend to do it now. I like to do it. It keeps me fit. It keeps me grounded. But I'd only really do it for friends and family. And a few people from dancing, I've done a bit of work for, plastering wise. So it's
Do you know,
nice.
of all of the tradesmen's jobs, so being an electrician or a builder or a plumber and all of that, a plasterer is the one that I would never do. We had our entire Artex ceilings in here, right throughout the house, taken down and then replastered. And I
Yeah,
watched those guys work for 2 weeks. And dear mercy, I mean, apart from standing on a milk crate, which is obviously the standard thing that every plasterer
it
does,
is. I've got
um,
12 of them.
yeah, that process of doing
Oh, yeah.
that day
Yeah.
after, blimey.
Yeah. Yeah. Ceilings are quite, physical.
Yeah.
The process of doing a ceiling, and probably 90% of my work was plastering over old Artex
Yeah.
ceilings, um, which is not nice at all. But yeah, luckily enough, my house, I just ripped all the ceilings down anyway, and then reboarded them and skinned them. So,
We
but
had the
yeah,
scenario.
plastering is quite nice.
We had the scenario in our house that they quoted for it, and then they came to actually do the job, and they were expecting just to knock the tops off and then replaster over the top,
yeah.
and they went to knock the tops off, and it had never set, so it crumbled like sand, and we
Ah,
then had to take the
yes,
whole lot down,
yes.
and I've never seen such a mess ever. We had to clear every room out, put it all
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. Whenever I do plastering over an old wall or ceiling that's been painted or artexed, I always warn them that it might cost you this much, but it could very easily double because once you start plastering, although the plaster will stick to the paint or the artex, the moisture goes through and then it pulls it all off the wall,
Yep.
and it blisters and it looks horrible. And you have to take it all off and start again. So it's never a straightforward job with plastering unless you rip the ceilings down, reboard them, and skim them completely. You get a much nicer job as well.
Well, you never know.
So
After this, you may get an influx of people saying, I need a plasterer. Can you come and help me out?"
yes, yes, yeah. I don't mind having a few dancers out. If I get a few free dances out of it, then it's worth it.
Well, I'm sure we can sort something out for you. So we're going to find out about Michael Edwards then. So first of all, where did you grow up, and what's your family type situation?
I was born and raised in Cheltenham, in Gloucestershire, in St Paul's in Cheltenham, which was a very rough area back in the day. It's more studenty now. And I was a middle child, and I think middle child syndrome does exist, and I think that was a huge part of why I became Eddie the Eagle and why I went into ski jumping was partly because, and mostly because of middle child syndrome, because I have an older brother. He's 18 months older than me. He was the firstborn, the golden child. He could do no wrong. And then I had a younger sister, which was the daughter that my mum had always wanted. And then there was me, poor
Oh,
old me, in the middle. And I had to fight tooth and nail for any kind of attention. And that gave me the tremendous resilience and the tenacity and the never giving up spirit that I used when I started skiing and then went into ski jumping and managed to get to Calgary. But I think it all became because of being a middle child and having to fight for the attention.
yeah. I've got 4 children myself. I'm trying to think if any of those feel in that way. So obviously, there's 2 of them that are theoretically in the middle. But yeah, I suppose my middle child out of the first 3, yeah, probably is the most independent. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of that because my brother has never left Cheltenham other than to go on a honeymoon once. I don't think he's ever left Cheltenham,
right.
and he's never been more than a mile away from my mum and dad. Whereas I, as soon as I left school, whoosh, I went off to Italy, worked there for 3 years, and then went to America, studied ski jumping, and then traveled all over the world. So I've always been, since I was 17, I've been away, and I only see my mum and dad and family, for parts of the year. So yeah, I've always been very, very independent.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. I'm similar myself in that I left home at 16. But I apparently, according to my sister, and she may listen to this, apparently I was classed as the golden child a little bit myself. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that is the case or not, but yeah, my sister is an amazing person. She really is.
Ah,
Uh,
bless. I mean, I do love my brother, but we always fought every day. I don't think we went a single day without fighting. And of course, even if it was just a play fight would turn into an actual fight, and one of us would get hurt. Normally, it would be me, but occasionally I would get one over my brother. And yeah, we were always fighting. So, but I do love him to bits. But we only see each other probably twice a year. In fact, I'm seeing him this weekend because it's his birthday. So, and that's usually when I see him. I go over there on his birthday and say hello, and then I don't see him then for the rest of the year. But I still love my brother and my sister, of course.
Yeah, it's always difficult. Certainly over the last 16 months we've been living, is family can be quite important, and seeing them can be challenging sometimes for everybody as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Every family is different. As I say, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. So there are some people who wouldn't dream of meeting the rest of their family ever. But yeah, I still like to see my family, but I don't need them with me. I don't because I travel all over the way, travel a lot. I don't feel that need to be in contact with them all the time. Sometimes I could go 6 months without texting or speaking to either my brother or my sister.
okay,
But it doesn't mean that I don't think of them. It's just that I don't need that constant,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
There are some friends, aren't there, that I've got ex-RAF friends that when I see them, even if we haven't seen each other for 4 or 5 years, it doesn't matter. You just pick up where you left off,
exactly. Yeah.
and they are for me the true friends.
Yes.
You don't have to
Yes.
work hard at those ones. And
No. No. You can just you meet up and it's like you've never been away, and you can
yeah,
almost carry on talking about when you last met and carry on the conversation. And I,
yeah.
I like that. It's normal. It's natural. It's really nice.
And
Yeah.
so you've got brother and sister. Children wise, what have you got?
I've got 2 girls. Ottilie is 17, same day as my brother's birthday. So she'll be 17, and I've got Honey, who's 14.
Challenging ages.
They are challenging. I hardly ever see them now, but that's expected as teenagers. I'd expect them because I was like that. From sort of 13, 14, being with your mum and dad was embarrassing. And so, and because I don't, they only live in the next village, but I don't really see them that often. But I'm always open for, talking to them, meeting them for coffee if they want, and open to messages and all that kind of stuff. But I leave it up to them. If they want to contact me, then they do so. So
Yeah, I have the pleasure of with my son that I can message him, and then it might take him a week to get back to me.
yes,
On the other hand, he's not a sporty type person, and he messaged me the other night, bless his cotton socks, saying, "Did you watch the England game, as in the Euro final?" And I'm like, because he said, "I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't watched it yet." And I was like, "You watched the football?" He's like, "Yeah, and I actually really quite enjoyed it." And I said, "Yeah, it was a really good game and all of that." And he said, I don't think I'd be that interested if it didn't have anything riding on it." And I said, "Yeah, I'll be honest with you, watching Burnley v Fulham doesn't quite have the same amount of passion about it."
No,
Um,
no. No, I don't usually watch football myself. I mean, I support Liverpool, but I couldn't tell you who plays for Liverpool. And I haven't watched a Liverpool game for about 2 years. But I did get into the England. I was really behind the England team, and especially when they played Scotland, because there's always that grudge thing about
yeah,
England and Scotland. And then of course, when we played Germany, we've always had that grudge match against Germany. And I really got into the England. I was right behind it, and it was brilliant when we got to the final. And it didn't matter whether we won or lost. I
yeah,
thought just getting to the final was just a fantastic, and I thought they did fantastic. And they're an exciting team to watch. I think
yeah,
they're the most exciting England team I've seen for decades. And
yep.
so I'm really looking forward to the World Cup next year and getting right behind the England team. I think they did brilliantly.
Yeah, no, I think we can all be very proud of everything they did, and let's remember they didn't lose in the final. I know they lost on penalties, but they
Yes.
didn't actually lose the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think they did brilliantly.
I was brilliant. Yeah. And we've got
So you have
such exciting players.
so you have travelled all over the world.
Yes,
You had
mostly
one
mostly
place to
cold
live.
winter, mostly winter snow countries, but I have been to a few warm ones as well.
So if you had one place to live, where would it be? Or to visit, I should say, not to live.
Oh, well,
Just one.
just I think I would like to live in somewhere like Austria or Germany, only because I love the snow. I can go skiing, I can go ski jumping, and things like that. But I loved Barbados when I went to Barbados. I've been there about 8 times, and I love it there. But I don't like the heat too much. I don't mind a bit of heat, but it gets too stifling. And I like the cold weather. I really love the cold weather. New Zealand, I loved as well because you can go skiing in the morning and sit on the beach in the afternoon, which I quite like that. That's the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah.
Ski in the morning and beach in the afternoon. I thought that would be a perfect life. So
It's a very bizarre scenario in New Zealand, isn't it? They have such variable weather in such a
they
small amount of
do.
space. Um,
Yes, I was there in Christchurch taking part in the ski festival. It was back in about 90, I think it was about 96, 97. And we had to jump out of the fourth floor window of a hotel and come down a ski jump and then off. And we were doing tricks and things. And there was a couple of thousand people in the park right by the jump and, watching. And yeah, we were doing a bit of a ski jump display. And it was great fun. And I loved New Zealand. I was down there for about 2.5, 3 weeks, and
right.
I thought I could live here.
Yeah.
It was lovely. Yeah.
That's very good. Now, just you mentioning Austria reminded me of one of the most daring things that I've done. Okay, and one of the most daring things that I've done is they had a flume. We were skiing over in Austria, and they had a flume in the local leisure centre. And I love flumes. Okay, and you've got the normal flume where you're either laying on your front, you go forwards, you go backwards, whatever it may be, and they're great, and you get some really quick ones. This was one of those flumes that you walked up an extra set of stairs, and they had a person at the top, and you had to walk into a cubicle, and they closed the cubicle behind you, and you were stood up, and then you're standing there going, "What's going on?" And it counts down three, two, one. But before it gets to zero, the floor then just disappears, and you go straight down, and then whiz around and go upside down and all of that. I've never in my mind pooed myself. I can't say any worse than that. More in my entire life. And somebody said, "Are you going to go on it again?" I was like, "I'm okay. Okay, I really am." And I know it may not be the most daring thing. I've not jumped out of planes and all of that type of stuff, but that standing there was quite exhilarating. So, as a man that has done a lot of things, what is the most daring thing that you've done then?
Oh, gosh, that's probably number 12 of the top
I'm sure
100
it is.
questions.
That's all right.
um, Well, I guess it has to be ski jumping, really. And I've tried to find other things that I find as exciting, but nothing comes close to ski jumping. I've done parachuting, I've done bungee jumping, off big bungee jumps and smaller bungee jumps. I've done loads of things like that, the flumes, truck racing, car racing, all kinds of stuff. But I still think ski jumping has been the most daring, really.
Yeah,
Yeah, because especially the old jumps. When I was jumping 33 years ago, you could fly very high. Sometimes you were 30, 40 feet off the snow so at some point in the jump, and that can be quite scary when you're only attached to your skis by your toes. Um, but it was great fun, and not many people realise that it takes 1,000 times more guts to do the technique to jump 100 meters than it is just to go off the jump. And going off the jump is scary enough,
mm,
but to do the technique to jump far, is a lot scarier. And so,
yeah.
yeah, I think ski jumping is still the most daring thing I've done.
Huh? Fair enough. I
Yeah,
mean, if of all the sports that there are out there, it is one of the most stupid sports. You know,
it is. It
it's
is. Yeah,
whoever
and
thought of the process. Let's stick you at the top of a hill, make you jump off, and then land.
yes.
It's yeah,
Yeah, it is, and it's a shame that back in the day, we only used to watch ski jumping on New Year's Day. They used to show the ski jumping from Garmisch-Partenkirchen,
right.
and Ron Pickering used to be the commentator. So it was only that one day on
Yeah,
New Year's Day that we would watch a bit of ski jumping, and until Eurosports and Sky Sports came out, and now you can watch it,
yeah,
at your leisure.
yeah.
But yeah, we only got to see it one day a year. But I was in America racing, and I saw the ski jumps and thought, oh, I'll give it a go, and not realizing that 22 months later, I'd go to Calgary and actually get to the big jumps and do the Olympics. But yeah, there was always in the back of my mind. I thought, oh, wonder what that's like to do. But
Yeah.
I never thought I'd ever get a chance to do it, but I did.
Well, you did. Well, on a very different note, okay, this may be number 10 on your list. Okay, we will find out. So, what is your favorite song at a karaoke night to do then?
Oh, on a karaoke night.
So, where does that rank on your list, by the way, just very quickly, of questions you're often asked?
Oh no, I don't get asked that. I have been asked it a few times, but it's
Yeah.
probably outside the top 100.
Oh, okay, I'm pleased with
Questions
that
I've
then.
been asked. Because I generally, although I like going to a karaoke bar and singing along with the people that are singing songs. Although some people, feel like they're very professional singers and they don't want people to sing along to the song,
Yeah,
whereas I like to sing along with them. But whether and I have stood up a few times. Normally, when I do a karaoke, I'll sing with somebody. So
right.
we'll do something like Grease. So I think one of the songs from Grease,
Yeah, it's a
because I
fun
would
one.
always sing with it with somebody else, and then we can sort of sing together.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of the Grease songs that I would probably sing.
Well, next time we're at dancing, that's it. Summer Loving's coming on. We're going to get up there. We'll get the microphone sorted out for you.
Well, of course, I have sung a few songs in my life. I had Fly Eddie Fly, which reached number 50 in the British charts back in 1988.
Did it? I
And
didn't even see that.
yeah, and I sung a song in Finland, which reached number 2 in the charts.
Well, there
And I
we
sung
go.
in Finnish. So
I should have called you a pop star in your intro then as well.
exactly, yeah, you missed that out. Yeah.
Yeah. So outside of, obviously we're going to get onto dancing fairly shortly, okay? But outside of dancing, what else do you do for fun? We've discussed that we play golf as well. What else do you
Yeah.
do?
Well, I try and do as much as I can, really. I like, playing things like five-a-side football, but I've not joined a local one yet, only because I can't devote constant time, every week to it. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. I love to play golf. I love to dance. I love to get out on my bike and go cycling. I go running. I like to go to the gym sometimes, mostly physical stuff. Get out and play games, play sports, whether with people or on my own.
Well, when you
But then,
came round here for a lesson a while ago, and I said that I played tennis, and then I watched how you practiced doing your serve, it was pretty obvious you were a very good tennis player as well.
well, I did play tennis years ago. When I was in America ski jumping, when I wasn't jumping, I would go down to the tennis courts because they quite like their tennis in
Yeah,
America, and I played regular tennis, and I was playing regularly almost every day, whether it was for half an hour or for 3 hours.
yeah,
I would play every day, and I really got into the tennis, and I still love it. But I was put off when I was a teenager because I wanted to learn. I wanted to join one of the local tennis clubs in Cheltenham, but I only wanted to join during the summer because I was away in the winter skiing and doing all my skiing stuff. And they wouldn't let me. They said, "Oh, you have to join them for the whole year. You can't just join for the summer." And it really put me off. They were really snobby about it.
Yeah.
So I ended up just going with friends down to a a small tennis court, or pay as you go at the municipal ones in Montpellier. But I could only play with a few friends. Whereas, I'd have loved to have learnt, and played better tennis at a tennis club. But they said, "Oh no, you can't just join for 6 months," and
Yeah.
and I couldn't do it. So
Do you know, I've got a tennis lesson coming up myself next week, which I'm looking
ah,
forward to because I'm an okay player. I've been told that I could be quite a good player if I was more consistent. So
ah,
I'm aiming to get the consistency next
yeah.
week, not just from one lesson, of course. That'd be
Ah.
asking a lot, but yeah, there's a
So,
local chap around here that plays. So.
what's better, your forehand or your backhand? Do you play two-handed or one-handed or?
So I definitely have a good forehand. My backhand has always been terrible in regards to, well, it's not been terrible. I slice it most of the time. I have just been working literally this Sunday when I was playing on my double-handed backhand, which is going much better now. Um,
Ah,
but yeah,
my
I like to play tennis like chess, if I'm honest with
ah,
you. I'm
yeah,
much more rather than blasting people off the court. I'd rather move people around and that type of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, my backhand was better than my forehand. My forehand was a bit unreliable, but my
Right.
backhand was usually, and topspin backhand was my best shot. I could do that really, really well. That was probably my most reliable shot, is my topspin backhand. So
So I
yeah,
reckon I've
but
got a question for you now that you've never been asked, and that was my
oh,
goal. Okay, this is
go on then.
this is the one. This is the moment. Okay, so what is your grip on your tennis racket? As in, what? How do you hold your tennis racket? Is it frying pan? Is it straight down? Have you been asked that question before?
Yes, I have been asked
Ah,
before on a Connor's tennis
oh,
court, because
okay,
that's the only time I'm asked, really.
but
Um,
not in an interview.
but not in an interview, no. But on a tennis court,
Yeah.
it's
So if you're holding the tennis
frying
racket
pan.
out like this,
Yeah,
okay,
just a
where
frying
is the racket? Is it that way? Is it flat? How is it?
that way.
That way, which is the
Yes,
old way of doing it.
yes.
Yeah,
I'm well. Yes,
it's well, I call it the traditional way of doing it.
yes.
So yeah, it was, it used to be that you held it like that, which is how a few tennis players still do. Most of them hold it like that, sorry, that way round, slightly
Yeah.
backwards. A lot of the top tennis players actually have it completely backwards. So if they'd hold it, it would be, and you'd try and hit it straight, it would be hitting it with the back of the racket. But that's
Ah,
then when they turn the wrist over and then get that extra topspin, you see.
all right.
So that's yeah. And
Ah,
recently I changed my grip to go from that to that,
yeah.
and it's then made a difference to how more consistent I
Ah,
am. And I picked that up from a high quality YouTube video.
right. Right. I'll get onto YouTube afterwards
Get
and
onto
give
YouTube.
myself a lesson. I
Yeah,
need to go and buy a tennis racket first. I've lost my tennis racket. I gave it to my girls, and I think they used it in the garden and to hit things with, and they use it as a hammer. And so I need to invest in a new tennis racket, and then go and start playing again a bit more regularly. So
well, what we should do then at some point is we'll have a day where we go and play golf.
yeah.
Okay, we'll then have a game of tennis, and then I play football every Friday at the local school,
All
which is
right.
five-side on AstroTurf, and you're welcome to come along to that.
Oh, thank you
So
very
we'll
much.
have a day of sport. We'll arrange it
Yes.
in the next few weeks,
And then a day of rest the next day.
and
I'll probably be
and then
flat on
not
my back.
walking for 3 days.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right. And not being able to
absolutely.
dance.
But yeah, no, that'd be good. That'd be good. We've got a local court we play up here as well, and
Ah,
yeah, that'd be a fun day. That'd be a knackering day. It would be
yes.
a
Yeah.
fun day. But I found a
Yeah.
question you've not been asked.
I know.
My life is complete.
That was very specific.
It was, yeah, it was very specific. Yeah, what's the position of the record? Anyway,
Yes, no.
moving moving swiftly on. One that you have been asked, no doubt, a number of times. Then is your favourite dinner guests. Of course, I'm there as well. That's an obvious.
That goes without saying.
We'll,
That
we'll
just goes
take that out
without
of the
saying.
equation. The present company expected 4 dinner guests. Who are they? They can be dead or alive.
Dead or alive?
Yeah.
Churchill.
Okay.
I think he'd be quite interesting to talk to. Um, Thatcher, Maggie Thatcher. I think she'd be quite interesting to talk to. Um, Ooh, Jennifer Aniston,
She's not.
just
not worried
because
about talking to
she's.
her, are you?
I'm not. I wouldn't mind, a bit of close hold dancing with her. um, and then I don't know. Fourth? Oh, me. I would be the fourth, I
Oh
suppose.
no, it's 4 guests you've got.
Oh,
So
four
yeah,
guests.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we've got
Um,
Jennifer Aniston for her intellectual
absolutely.
capacity.
Yes.
We've got
Yes.
Churchill and Thatcher because yeah, they are obviously people of history and
Yeah.
yeah, they would have a
Yeah.
lot of stories, that's for sure.
They would. Yeah. And I've never. Ingemar Stenmark. He was my childhood idol
Right.
because I used to watch Ski Sunday, and he used to win all the World Cups in slalom and giant slalom. He dominated the sport, and I met him in Rome. I was doing a pro celebrity golf tournament, and he came along, and he's such the quietest, unassuming guy you could ever meet. And I thought, oh my God, I just worshipped. I told him I worshipped you when I was a kid, watching Ski Sunday every week during the winter religiously, and to watch him ski was just amazing. So yeah, I'd like to chat about skiing with Ingemar Stenmark.
And they always say you should never meet your heroes because they can often disappoint.
They often do, apparently.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been told that a few times, and yes, luckily enough, I haven't disappointed anybody, which is lovely.
I was going to say I've known I've mentioned a few times that we know each other and they said, oh, what's he like as a person, like as in your intro, he's a really lovely all round person.
And you said,
I'm
no, he's a bastard.
I'm sure you've never. I might have to bleep that bit out. That'd be fine. Um, but yeah, I'm sure you've never disappointed anybody.
I try
Because
not to. I
what's
try
really
not to.
interesting is you are always you, and that
Yes.
I find really interesting as well.
Well, that's why it's. I think it's easier for me in some respects, in that I don't pretend to be anybody else. People loved me for who I was at Calgary, and I was just me. And so that's what people expect, and that's what I give them. So I don't need to be anything other than who I am and what I am. And most of the time, 99.9% of the time, people are lovely. There are a few who said, "Oh, you shouldn't have gone to the Olympics, and you're not an athlete," and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it doesn't upset me.
No,
I just have a chat to them and say, "Well, yeah, that's okay," and I can understand, but I was just doing the best I could with what I had, which wasn't much, and yeah, that's their opinion. That's fine. So,
yeah, I mean, there are always going to be the wonderful world of trolls, and
absolutely.
sometimes it's best not to read the comments.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a number of things that I'm dealing with at the moment that are quite controversial, and you read everybody's comments, and you're just like, and it's quite draining. So
yes.
yeah, I think I'm
Yes.
just going to make my own mind up, and
Yeah, I
someday.
think that's probably one of the best reasons for my own happiness at the moment is that I'm not on social media, and especially not on Twitter. And
Mm,
I just cannot be asked to read these tweets or tweet anything because I'm just not interested. It's I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and if people are happy for me to do it, then that's great. If people don't like it, that's their opinion. But I don't want to hear it, and so yeah, and I think people can get so concerned about what other people are thinking and what other people are saying, and I don't, I don't care one way or the other. So
no, you definitely are your own person, which
hmm.
I've always respected about it. So we're now on to. So far, we've done Michael Edwards. We are going to do a very quick bit of Eddie.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
literally 2 minutes there or thereabouts. Okay,
okay,
so and there's one question I'm going to ask you. Okay, so I've got listed down here a number of the things that you've done over the last 33 years.
righto.
Okay, that
Oh, if you got it off Wikipedia, they might not all be true, but you
no,
never
these
know.
ones are all true because
Oh right, okay,
I know they are.
okay,
Because I've looked. Okay, so you're an Olympian. You've released a book. I didn't
yeah,
do the pop star one. Okay, you've had a film made about you. Okay, you
yeah,
did Let's Dance for Sports Relief,
yeah,
Splash, The Jump,
yeah,
and you were a rubber chicken in The Masked Dancer.
yes.
Okay, and I knew it was you because I recognised your posture.
Those legs, yes, those legs.
As
Yes,
your
you
dance
were that way.
teacher, I knew exactly which one you were. Um, okay, so which of those, if you had to repeat one of them, would you repeat?
Splash.
Splash. Go on then, tell
Yeah.
me why.
I loved doing Splash,
So explain what
and
Splash is for those that can't remember it, because it was
it was a celebrity reality show where celebrities were taught to springboard dive with Tom Daly, and you were given some training and then went into competitions, and you do the best dives that you can do, and I loved it. I'd never really dived before. I used to do a bit of trampolining when I was a teenager. That helped a lot. So I'd already done forward and backward rotations and things like that. So that was okay. But I'd never done much diving. And then I'd never seen a 10-meter board before. And to stand at the top of a 10-meter board and look down was pretty scary.
I've done that
Um,
once. It scared the I literally
oh,
crawled
yeah,
onto the edge and
yeah, yeah.
crawled back very quickly.
That's right. And also, because you not only see the 10 meters to the water, but then the 5 meters to the bottom of the pool.
Of
So it's a
course, yeah.
long way down. And
And then
I
you're
never
6'5" stature as well on
That's
top.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. And you're only wearing swimming costumes. You're only wearing budgie smugglers, and you think, "Oh, this could hurt." You know, and it does hurt. Even if you do a good dive, it still hurts when you hit the water at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But I never dreamt that I would have been doing the kind of dives that I was doing, and or even diving off the 10-meter board. So I really surprised myself and surprised a lot of other people. I thought it'd be great if I could just get to the final, but to actually win the show was brilliant. And it was because of Splash they then made the film, because I signed the deal to make the film 21 years ago.
Okay.
And I never thought of, after 10 years, I thought, well, the film will never be made. But then I did Splash, and that was the impetus then to make the film. So not only taking part in that show and doing much better than I ever thought I would and winning the show, and then it leading to actually making the film as well was just a bonus. But I would definitely do Splash all over again.
So that's all in the past, and
Hmm.
in the future, you've got all the traditional. I call them traditional, but the Strictly's, the
The bread
celebrities,
and
and
butter stuff.
all of those types of things. Are there any that you would like to do? Any that you wouldn't do?
Um, I have never refused a job ever. Not because that I physically didn't think I could do it or anything. I've just not been able to do them because I've been too busy. My diary's been too full. But I would happily do any of those three shows: The Jungle, Dancing on Ice,
Oh yeah,
Strictly. I would love to do them. I think Dancing on Ice would be the most difficult because people think that because you can ski that you can skate when they're two completely different sports.
yeah.
So to learn to skate and to dance with a partner as well, I think that would be by far the most difficult and the most dangerous to do. For hurting yourself. Um, I would love to have a go at the jungle. I think it would be a great experience. Being in a jungle with 14 or also other celebrities, some of which I may not get on with very well, but it'll be fun
And will you have?
nonetheless.
Would you have that moment? Because this is always the crucifying part, isn't it? When they turn up and you go, "Who is that?"
I do that all the time. I do that all the time. Because I'll just say what I think, and I turn up, and they say, "Oh, you met so and so." Oh, what do you do? Oh, I was in this, that, and the other. Because I have no idea. I don't watch much TV, so and especially nowadays with all the reality shows like Gogglebox and The Only Way Is Essex, and all those kind of things. I have no idea because I don't watch those shows. So and they get all these celebrities, and I have got a clue who they are.
No.
So yeah, it's
I,
very
I,
weird.
I can imagine if you did any of those that you would do exceptionally well. Because I mean, for Strictly, for instance, we'll move on to dancing in a second. But obviously, you've got some dance experience, which a lot of them wouldn't necessarily have. However, often it's much more difficult to correct something that's been done a long time, not to the
Yes,
standard they want it, rather than just
that's
teaching
right.
them from completely flat. And
That's
I
right.
said
And
about I said about your posture earlier about maybe you might on the odd occasion poke your bottom out a little bit.
that's right.
I can
And
imagine
I'm
how you
aware of
would
that.
forward.
I'm still aware of that now when I'm dancing. I thought, oh, am I sticking my bottom out? But I think I'm still a bit of a one trick pony at the moment because I love my Ciroc and silk. And I would like to sort of start moving out to other types, other genres, a bit of ballroom, maybe a bit of salsa,
Yeah.
and just broaden my knowledge and experience of other types of dance as well. And I think that will help my Ciroc as well, and because I
Yeah.
can introduce those influences into the Ciroc and silk. But I do love my silk as well. I love the music, and you can do what the music wants you to do, and you can be more expressive, more musicality. Because I really want to get into the musicality side.
Hmm.
Because when one of the last workshops we did about musicality, and we say, people just move from one side to the other, and I used to do that for so long, and now I'm really getting into musicality. I don't like to just keep moving one, backwards and forwards. I like to put more into it, and so yeah, you never stop learning really with dance. I love it.
No, I mean, I often say that when you very first learn to dance, is that you learn moves, and your move repertoire goes up and up and up,
Yes,
and then all of a sudden you think, "What's that noise in the background?" And then find out that's the music, and then you think, "Oh, I must put some musicality in." And what happens as soon as you start to put some musicality in, your move repertoire drops like a
yes,
stone, and
mm.
then you get better and better at musicality, and then eventually you bring your move repertoire into it, and that's when you become the ultimate dancer. That's the theory
Ah,
anyway. It just takes
yes,
20 years to get there. Um,
yes,
it does take
definitely.
a while. But yeah, doing the musicality is for me everything.
Yes,
That's having the connection to the music is what it's all about.
yes.
Um, so when did you start dancing, and how long have you been dancing for then?
I started Rock. Well, actually, I did a bit of dancing when I was a teenager. Me
What
and a
type of
neighbour.
dancing?
Hmm?
What type of dancing?
It was disco dancing,
Okay.
and it was real, what was that? Saturday Night
Yeah,
Fever
yeah.
type stuff. Sort of doing this.
For the benefit of
Um,
the tape, Mike has just been demonstrating some Saturday night dancing.
so we went to a couple of lessons of disco dancing, which was great fun. But then I didn't start dancing until about 20 years ago. And I just retired from ski jumping. I went for the 98 Olympics. And although I'd reached the qualification, the British Ski Federation refused to send me to Nagano in 1998. So then I retired at the beginning of 98. And I went back to live at home in Cheltenham with my mum and dad while I decided what I was going to do. And then I decided to go back into education and do GCSEs, A level, and then do a law degree. But I was going to the gym, and one of the ladies in the reception said, "Oh, you should come dancing." And I came along to Cheltenham at the pump rooms
Yeah.
and went to Ciroc there, and it was amazing. There was like 300-400 people in the room, all in lines, and they were dancing away, and it was brilliant. But I did struggle at the beginning because men lead, or traditionally men lead. And of course, you only learn 3 or 4 moves in that beginner's lesson. And then I thought, oh, and I was also very shy about asking a woman to dance.
Yeah.
But the taxi dancers were great, and they would grab me on the dance floor, and I would learn those moves. But it wasn't until I started going twice a week, then I really started to remember moves, because leaving it one week after another, it was really difficult because I couldn't remember what I did the week before. But
Yeah.
when I started going twice a week, that made a huge difference. And then I got better and better, learned more and more moves, and then I did it for about 3 years. And then I met my wife, got married, had kids, stopped dancing for about 11 to 13 years. And then when we separated about 5 years ago, I thought, oh, I want to go back dancing again. So I've been dancing again now for about 4 or 5 years. So about 8 years, but over 20 years.
Yeah,
So,
and we've had many dances together, and again, for the benefit of the tape, Mike's a very good dancer.
oh,
For those
thank you
that
very
don't
much.
know,
Oh,
he's.
thank you very much. I never consider myself to be a good dancer at all.
Do you know,
People
there's
do
two.
say I am, but I don't think I am.
Well, I'll hopefully give you a fairly qualified opinion, I suppose, as a dance teacher, in regards that there's two types of dancing. There's how it looks and how it feels. Now, we may have mentioned your bottom on a couple of occasions, but the feeling when we dance with you is incredibly smooth.
Ah,
Um, so, yeah, you manage to transfer your body weight incredibly well, and therefore, from a follow's perspective, it feels like a great dance.
oh, good. Oh, that's.
And
And I think my life as an athlete,
mhm,
be a skier and a ski jumper, we're always either training a lot, but I also look at body mechanics and body awareness, balance, and that comes into a lot when you're dancing. So when you do a move, I know instinctively what I need to do because I'm fully aware of my body shape and things other than my bottom sticking out.
we're still
I
working on
think
that.
being an ex-athlete has helped a lot because I can pick up moves very very quickly.
Yeah, I had
Um,
the
and
same
that's,
regarding my golf lessons that I had in regards to my pro turned round and said, "Do this," and obviously being a professional dancer
Yeah.
myself. You know how to move your body and
Yeah.
control it. And he went,
Yes.
oh, you can do that straight away. And you're like, well, yeah, you
Yeah.
just need to do that. And
Mm.
he said that obviously being a dancer helps on that aspect, but yeah, it all kind of crosses over, doesn't it? Which is
It
fine.
does.
Strictly, for instance, the athletes are often very good because they've got the determination and the
Yes.
aptitude to actually do it properly.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
why they end up
And
doing very
I
well.
used to be a ski instructor as well. So, when I saw other people who were horse riders or rugby players or any sports people, they would pick things up very, very quickly because they had that, the determination, but also the balance, the body awareness and everything else. And they knew where their body shape was and where it had to be. And they just needed to be taught, the basics, and off they went. So yeah, they do pick it up very, very quickly. There's a good transformation from one
Yeah.
sport to another.
So what's been quite interesting, obviously so far I've mainly been doing Ciroc teachers and DJs, and I've asked them what they feel what makes a good Ciroc teacher. So I'm going to ask you from the taxi dancer floor perspective, what do you feel makes a great Ciroc teacher?
I love what they call the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Hmm.
I think what makes a good any teacher, whatever it is, whether it's dance or sport, is you know very simple instruction, very clear instruction, but also fun, making it fun. And I think that balance of both is great because you want to be entertained, but you're also learning something as well. And
Yeah.
when you're laughing while you're learning and having fun while you're learning, it sinks in better and it stays in better. And so yeah, I think that makes a good dance teacher. So clear, precise, but fun too.
Yeah, I think that absolutely nails it on the head. I certainly try and teach as technically correct as I can,
Yes,
whilst make it
yes,
as much fun as I can.
yes.
Um, so it's nice to hear that I try and do what you're doing. Whether I do it or not is
Yes,
another
no, no,
question. But
no, you do very well
it's
actually. Very good teacher.
yeah,
Yes.
I always love doing it. So
Well,
yeah.
I always love coming to the workshops. So yeah,
Well, hopefully this is being recorded in July 2021. So hopefully it will be opening back up next week is the plan.
yeah.
So
But I do get very worried though when I dance with Zoe. I mean,
do you?
I just shake all over when I'm dancing with Zoe because I'm thinking, oh my god, she's so good. Oh, what if I step on her toe? Oh.
If it helps, I sometimes feel the same way myself when I dance with her, and she's my wife. Um, yeah, do you know, we had a really good dance session last Friday in our studio, and there's, for those that don't know, we've converted the garage to be a little dance studio, and we've got two pictures in there of us competing in 2009 and 2010, and yeah, one of the pictures is where we're in a very deep seducer, and it was actually a move that went wrong. Zoe lost balance, and I managed to catch her effectively. And they took a picture, and it's a great picture.
Yeah.
We tried to recreate it the other day, and it was quite challenging to recreate. It was just all awkward, but yeah, we
Yeah.
did manage to create it, but we didn't have quite the same sultry look on our face
Ah.
as we're doing it. Arr.
But I like I if I've learned to move, but it doesn't seem to go well when I'm dancing with other ladies, I'll always go to Zoe and say, "Can I just try this move out?" And then she does it perfectly. She does what I want to do when I want her to do it. And
Yeah,
because I think, well, is it me or is it the lady I'm dancing with? But when I dance with Zoe, she said, "No, it's not you, it's them." And I think, oh, thankful for that.
it's that
So I
classic
always
thing,
like
isn't
to
it?
dance with Zoe just to make sure that I'm doing the move correctly on my end, so that yeah,
Oh, she'll like to hear that. It's
yeah.
even somebody like Zoe, who, by the way, and I'm going to put it live on this podcast now, has said she will come on interview with me as well. I
Oh,
know that's going to be challenging for me.
that is going to be worth watching.
I know, and hopefully it'll be coming up in the not too distant future. But yeah, she has to do it now because I've said it live. Um, is that yeah, quite, we used to have that phrase of if it goes wrong, whose fault is it? And everybody used to scream
Yes.
out it's the man's fault because he's the leader and all
Yeah,
of
I
that.
always thought that too.
Yeah, and we used to
Yeah,
scream it out loud, and then we wondered why we were always 30 women over because all the men
yeah,
are going, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing and you're blaming me for it.
yeah,
um, but
yeah.
yeah, I always say it's a partner dance,
Hmm.
so everybody's responsible for their part. so
Yes,
um, so yeah.
yes.
So regarding, you've said about Silk, which is the chill out music, which is the slower end of things, which is about 100 beats per minute. If you had a choice of 100 beats per minute, 120 or 140 beats per minute, what would you choose to dance to?
Probably 100 because I do like the slower. I like the silk. I can put more musicality into it. So yeah, I think the faster the beat, I'm more conscious of doing the move correctly, doing it smoothly to make sure that my dance partner is enjoying the dance as well. But it's a little bit more harder to put in a bit more musicality into it. So yeah. So I much prefer 100 beats a minute. Although, I can listen to a song because I've spoken to John Baker about
Mhm,
it, and he's quite a good DJ. And he
mhm.
says, well, and he played one song that was 100 beats, but it still sounded really quick. And then he played another one, but it sounded really, really slow. So he said
Yeah.
it's not always just the beat. So it was really interesting. But generally, yes, I prefer to dance to 100 beats, I think.
Yeah, you've got different songs that have got different rhythms in them as well. So, for
Yes.
instance, "Shape of You" by Ed Sheeran, it's got
Hmm.
more of a salsa beat to it. So, although it is actually only 100 beats per minute there or thereabouts, it can actually feel sometimes quite a quick song,
Yes.
depending on
Yes,
which
I
rhythm
find
you
that
pick.
quite difficult. That song quite difficult because sometimes I think, well, shall I dance to the beat? But the beat is quite slow. But
Mm,
then when I dance to the rhythm and the melody, it's a really quick song.
yeah.
But sometimes I just prefer that bit of quickness rather than, yeah, the beat is a bit too, especially when the music's going fast and you're sort of dancing slow to it. It doesn't kind of look right. So then I switch to the melody then and dance to it. But yeah, I find that quite difficult to dance to that song.
Well, my best tip for everybody, and I say this right across the board, is as a lead, the minute that you forget what moves you're doing and just simply listen to the music and let the music tell you what to do, that's when you become a good dancer.
Ah,
So,
oh, wow, one day.
so that is, you are already a good dancer. It's,
Thank you.
yeah,
I wasn't fishing. I wasn't fishing.
and as you know, when you've been in lessons with me, I will never say anything, that I don't believe in. If somebody isn't doing it great, then I won't say they are doing it great because otherwise that takes all credibility away from anything that I would ever say.
Yeah, yeah,
People, as a teacher, you're put into a very trusted position that people are going to
yes,
listen to what you're saying, take it on
yes.
board, and try and implement it. So it's a very
Yes,
responsible position.
and there are different ways of saying it as well, isn't there? You can be still positive while you're saying you're not quite doing that right. If you try doing it this way instead, you
Yeah,
might find it's a little bit smoother or a little bit better or a little bit more comfortable. And so there's sort of nicer ways of saying things rather than that was crap.
yeah. As I say at the beginning of all the lessons that I do, time always goes by very quickly, and I'm always very direct.
Yes.
But most people are still laughing whilst the
Oh
lesson's
yeah,
going
yeah.
on, so I must do it in a reasonably good way,
Yes.
whatever way that is. But
Yeah. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing it well.
I will try. We're on to the music section. Okay, so I ask all my guests what their favourite track is to dance to listen to, and the most important one. Okay, so we've got your favourite track to dance to start with. Okay, so can you remember which one it is that you said?
I think I said Thursdays by Jess Glynn.
You did. Let's have a little
Yes.
listen to it.
For anyone, I wanna laugh, I wanna cry. Don't want these tears inside my eyes. Yeah, don't wanna wake up and feel insecure. I wanna sing, I wanna dance, I wanna feel love inside.
And there's Thursday by Jess Glynn. We can never
Yes.
play too much of it.
I know. I like a couple of hers. There's a couple of songs from Jess Glynn which I quite like to dance to, and that one especially as well. I like the words to it as well. It's a good song. So yeah, I do. I
I
always
actually
try and get up quickly and dance to that one.
I used that track yesterday in a lesson and saying that I think it's an incredible track. And if you listen to the words and the feeling of the words and regarding musicality, that's what we were doing. And it isn't a kind of a cheeky, let's do that type of song. It is very much more a feeling and a lyrical and
Yes.
that type of song.
Yes.
So yeah, an amazing
Yeah.
song.
You can get some good light and shade in that, even though it's still quite a quick song. You can still get there's plenty of light and shade and yeah, musicality to that.
Yeah, it's 112 beats per minute. Just to
Oh
let you know,
right.
so it's not that
Oh.
quick a song.
No.
No,
I
not
thought it
that
was
quick a
quicker.
song.
Yeah.
So what would be your favourite song to listen to then?
I didn't I say Lighthouse?
Well, you did say that. You also said "Hold Me While You Wait." You can do
Oh,
either either.
yes, that's right. Louis Capaldi.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, there's two Louis Capaldi songs. That's one of them, and there's another one as well. But I love Louis Capaldi at the moment. He does some great, and I love dancing to it as well because we play at a lot of silk events, and yeah, I do like that one. But I like listening to it as well. Nice song.
Let's have a little listen.
Hold me while you wait. I wish that I was good enough. If only I could wake you up, my love, my love,
Yeah.
my
we
I
go.
think,
Hold Me While You Wait, Lewis
yes,
Capaldi.
yes. Bit of
Yes.
wishful thinking there, maybe, when
Oh,
I'm listening to this.
just give you. I want to give you a cuddle over Zoom.
Oh, thank you.
Oh. And then the last one on this. So the track that's had the most impact or strongest memories for you. I love this question, but I think it's possibly the most difficult question I ask.
Yeah, I have been asked it quite a because I've done a lot of local
Yeah,
radio
I'm
stations.
sure.
They do a bit of desert island disc
Yeah.
type things as well. And while I go through, there's certain songs which I really like because I remember when I was working in Italy as a ski mechanic. There was a particular run down the mountain which had lots of jumps in it, and I was going down on my alpine skis, racing down with my Walkman, my Sony Walkman, and there was a
Those were the
track,
days.
Van Halen, Jump, and I used to listen to that, put it on loud, and then I would off from the top of the mountain. I would just listen to the song while I was jumping, going down the mountain, and that was amazing, and I loved it. And I just kept going up and down all day, doing the same run for the same track, and it was brilliant. But I think the one that really, really I love listening to wherever I am, and that's Libby Sifri. What's it called again?
Something
Um,
inside so strong.
Something inside so strong. Yeah. Oh, that just makes sends shivers down my spine every time I hear it.
No
Well, let's have a
matter,
listen.
'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone.
There we go. There are
Now
your
that
3 tracks.
I love that one because when I started skiing at 13, I fell in love with the sport. It was all I ever thought about, talked about, dreamt about was skiing. And then I told all my friends and family that I wanted to go to the Winter Olympics, and they just laughed and they said, "Oh, it's impossible. It can't be done. We don't even have any snow." But the more that people told me that I couldn't do something, the more that inspired me to prove them wrong. And listening to that, there's something inside so strong that makes me want to go out and just prove people wrong. And I just wanted to, because I just loved my skiing and then my ski jumping. Nothing was going to stop me. And no matter how many people told me that I can't do it, it can't be done, I thought it could. And that sort of holds it in that song, which is really, really nice.
I was going to ask you a question earlier about what your favorite personality trait was, but I know what it is, which is resilience and that determination and all of that inside of you. So is there anything that you've got in the future that you feel that way about?
No, not yet, but I do get quite I get quite excited whatever I get asked to do. Because production companies come to me all the time and say, "Oh, we're thinking of putting a show together about this, that, and the other. Would you be prepared to do this, that, cliff diving, or bungee jumping, or going into the jungle for a month, with a machete or whatever?" And I think, yeah, that sounds like cool. That sounds quite good. And I go off and do it. So I've always been open to lots of different experiences, and never afraid to try them. And I've always been like that, and I think I always will be. So while there's nothing at the moment, there will be when somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, we're just putting a show together about this, that, and the other. Can you come and do this?" And then I'll attack it with vigor and give it my all. And that's what I like. But I like the flexibility so that I can do anything I want to do, which is why, I like doing my building work because I can down tools at any moment and woof, go off to America or go off to Australia or go off to Europe to do this, that, and the other. Which is why I've never got a full-time job. I like the flexibility to be able to go off and do these things, and I'll always be like that.
I think you're a little bit past working for minimum wage, £9.50 an hour
Yes.
at Tesco supermarket. I'm not quite sure that's going to cut the mustard for you anymore.
Well, in another 20 years, maybe I'll quite enjoy it.
You'll be there on your tills going, "Oh, look what you've got today."
Yes. Where shall I put these carrots? I know where you can put these carrots.
There's the accent coming out for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an accent, a proper West Country accent?
I did have, but and it does come out when I'm sort of back home, back here, and especially when I'm down in Bristol, because they're a little bit more Bristolian down there. But generally speaking, I don't think I do. But it does come out every once in a while, especially when I'm with my brother and my sister. Then it does come out a little bit. If I'm with people with a really strong sort of West Country accent, then it does come out. But generally, I don't think I do.
No, it's you have a very English accent.
Ah,
Um, yeah, people often ask me where I come from, and I always go back to a story in the RAF, which was an officer was giving us a briefing, and he said, "Try and figure out where I come from." And people said Oxford or wherever it may be, and then he went into his real accent. He was a Geordie, and he had a full Geordie accent. But at this point, this is in the late 90s, it was still the scenario that officers had to have an English accent. And he
wow.
had to hide his Geordie accent as being an
Crikey.
officer, which I find flabbergasting. It was that, not that long ago, but it was still kind of frowned
Yeah,
upon to have an accent. Like the BBC, it's fair only in the last couple of years they've really allowed other accents on.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, when I listen to BBC plays, in fact, there's a lot more plays from Scottish accents and Welsh accents and all that kind of. Hardly any English accents, but yeah, I've noticed a lot more accents in future on the BBC now. But and then I've met people in America who've lived there for 30 years, but they've still got a really strong Scottish accent because
yeah,
that's where they were born and raised,
yeah.
and they've never lost it. And then other people, yeah, have completely changed. Their accent's completely gone, or they can bring it out when they want to, but generally you wouldn't recognise them. And others have still got that accent even though they've left the country, decades ago.
Well,
It's
I
really
didn't
strange.
even know until so I did a radio show when I was in my late teens. I worked on hospital radio for about 3 years, and I used to listen back to the recordings. And I didn't know until I think I was about 20 that there was the difference between the th sound and the f sound. I didn't even know that that was the difference. I grew up in Portsmouth. It's a very East End London accent. Um,
Ah,
and earlier, actually, when we were talking and we mentioned about milk, I used to say milk, MIWK. And I still now have to consciously force myself to say the word milk because it's not part of my normal repertoire. So yeah, because I now speak for a living and have done for a long time, I've had to work on how I speak clearly and
yeah,
not too quickly and all of those types of things.
yes.
But yeah, my original accent is very East London. And when I
Ah,
go home, likewise, I fall
yeah.
back into it.
Yeah, I would never have realised you're from East London at all.
Well, I'm not from East London. I'm from Portsmouth,
No,
but that's
no.
the accent
But
that
that
you
accent, yeah.
that
That
accent.
accent.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's I have a Middle
Yeah.
England accent really now,
Yeah.
but yeah, but there we go.
Oh, cool. Yeah, a lot of people think I'm from up north for some reason. I don't know why, but they seem to think that I'm from sort of Yorkshire or Lancashire area. But
Yeah,
I thought, where'd you get that from? I was born and raised in Cheltenham, in Narm, Cheltenham,
Cheltenham.
Cheltenham.
Right,
But
we're on to the quick fire round.
yeah.
I know. So these are again, these may be questions you've been asked 10,000 times, but we'll find
Yes.
out. So, favorite ice cream?
Vanilla.
Vanilla. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Has to
do.
be a
Although,
good
do you like a
vanilla.
bit of a ripple? I do like a bit of raspberry ripple every once in a
Do
while, but
you?
I love vanilla. Maybe that's yeah. Maybe
No,
I
it's
was
nothing.
going to say
Do
something
you
else
know
then,
what?
but
A really good vanilla ice cream is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
it goes with everything,
it
especially a
does.
rhubarb crumble. Oof.
The only thing I don't like is Neapolitan ice cream, which has kind of got
Nah,
they're all really cheap ice creams, and none
yeah,
of them go well. It's like
no,
the worst
no,
example.
and I don't see the point of chocolate ice cream. It's a bit like chocolate cake. I'll eat chocolate cake, but I think chocolate should be eaten in a bar, not in a cake. And it's the same with chocolate ice cream. No, no, you can't put chocolate in ice cream. Vanilla is lush,
Fair enough. Are you
well
clean or
lush.
messy? Are you clean or messy?
Oh, oh. In my head, I'm clean. In reality, I'm messy,
I've seen your
very messy.
car. I've seen your car.
Was it clean at the time?
No.
Oh, yeah, but my car is my office, so I carry everything in my. I've got my socks that I go in case I go ice skating. I've got stuff. I've got papers in there in case I get to a job early and I can read and things like that. So yeah, there is a reason why my car is messy.
Well, I used to be in sales, and one of the key things is your passenger seat is your office, isn't it, to a large
Yeah,
degree?
yeah.
And yeah, mine used to be a complete and utter tip. And then I had one occasion where I got to a site that I was going on, and the chap said, "Oh, it's about half a mile. It was a massive site, about half a mile. Can I jump in your car with you?" And I looked across the passenger seat and thought, "Oh no."
I know.
From that
Yeah.
moment on, my car was spotless.
Yes. Yeah. I try and keep the passenger side spotless, but after a few days, I go to Greg's, I have a cup of coffee, then the cup goes in the footwell for it. Once I've got about 8 cups, then I'll take them out and bring them in the house and things like that. But yeah, I do like, so when I'm staying in a hotel, if I'm going out around doing a TV show or doing a talk, then I keep the hotel room spotless. In fact, when the maids come in, they don't even realize that I'm actually, using the room,
Okay.
because everything is just spotless. My clothes are all neatly there and folded and everything. So when I'm in a hotel, I keep everything. I don't like walking to a hotel room and it's all messy and sheets everywhere and clothes everywhere. But I don't mind living in it at home. But when I'm away, everything has its place.
Fair enough. Love or hate roller coasters?
Love roller coasters. I've opened a few in my lifetime
Okay, what have
around
you
the
opened
world.
then?
I've opened about 6. I've opened a couple in Blackpool Pleasure Beach, Alton Towers.
Which one at Alton Towers then? Which one at Alton Towers? I love Alton Towers.
The Oh God, what was it called? The Avalanche?
There's Oblivion, or is it a ski
No,
one type thing?
no, yeah, it's a ski related one. And
Okay.
this is going back 33 years ago, so I don't even know if they still got it.
I
The
think they've
Avalanche
gone.
was in the Avalanche was in Blackpool Pleasure Beach,
Okay.
because it's a bit like a bobsleigh track. So I opened that one. I can't remember what one was in Alton Towers, because we opened it at 8 o'clock in the morning. Then I had to get into a helicopter and they flew me down to London to Hyde Park, because I was opening a sports centre or a sports shop in Oxford Street. But I can't remember the name of the fun ride that I opened in Alton Towers. It'll come to me, or I'll find it on my list of stuff. But
We will find it
but
out.
I
No
do
point.
love roller coasters, and I opened them in Sweden, Germany, Australia as well. So I've opened about 6 around the world.
Do you know, when I've asked that question to everybody else, none of them have had the answer. I've opened a few. It's a
Sorry.
different answer. It's all good. So, excluding social media, and I know you're not a fan of social media anyway, okay, but what is the phone app that you use the most? Is there games or
Screwfix,
Screwfix?
Screwfix, and then Greg's. Well, actually, Greg's probably, and then Screwfix.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, you visit Greg's how many times a week? Let's go for a week to start with.
Well, I go about 3 times a day.
3 times a day.
3 times. I go for breakfast every morning. For breakfast, I go to Greg's for my sausage in a bun with brown sauce and a cup of coffee. And then at lunchtime, I'll have a vegan sausage roll and a cup of coffee. And then sometimes I'll go about 4 o'clock in the afternoon for an extra cup of coffee. So yeah, for at least 3 times a day. But if I'm traveling, if I've got to go up to Blackpool or whatever, then I'll only stop at the services where there's a Greg's, and then I could be in the Greg's probably 4 or 5 times in a day. So between 3 and 5 times a day, I go to Greg's.
And have Greg's ever contacted you for advertising purposes?
Not yet, but I'm waiting for that platinum card.
Are you?
I'm waiting for that, but their profits will nosedive if they give me a platinum card, because then you get free Greg's for life.
Do you?
And I thought, well, are they going to give up like 1,500? I spend about £1,200 a year in Greg's, and I'm thinking, well, they want to give up that, just to give me a card. I thought maybe that they probably want the profits. So
I don't know. I think you would definitely be somebody who would be passionate about in the advert.
yes,
and
yeah.
definitely a high user.
I am a very high user. Yes, I am a very high user.
Do you put it down in your tax records, Greg's?
Well, I do. I actually do. Yeah, I speak to my accountant and I say, because that is my, if I'm staying in a hotel to do a job, then instead of spending, because I stayed at the a hotel, a 5-star hotel, when I was doing the Masked Dancer.
Yeah.
And I had a club sandwich in the hotel, and that was 85 quid. And I thought, how many Greg's can I have for 85 quid?
Yeah.
So yeah, I love Greg's. It's great value for money. Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out £85 for a sandwich.
Yeah, it was a club sandwich, and it was a black brie crumble and ice cream. And that was my meal, because we didn't finish until quite late, and they said, oh, go back to the hotel and order room service. And I normally don't order room service. I'll normally just go round to Tesco's Express or Sainsbury's Express and get a sandwich. But I thought, well, this time I'll treat myself. And then when I had it and I saw the bill the next morning, 85 quid, and it was going to the production company anyway, but I was embarrassed, and I thought, oh my god, because I wouldn't pay that myself. I thought
No.
I wouldn't want a production company to pay that for me anyway, as well. 85 quid for a club sandwich and a crumble and ice cream. It was just
But you know,
amazing.
I think that's what people love about you, because I know you go around and do loads of Q&As and all of lots of different interviews and stuff, and motivational speaker and all of those. And they see that you are a normal person, and that
Hmm.
you wouldn't think, £85 for a club sandwich is reasonable, because that's not reasonable. There's no loaf of
Yeah,
bread that
yeah.
costs that
No,
amount of money.
no. No, no.
No.
And when I was doing the Masked Dancer, they kept ordering taxis for me. Oh, we've got you a train to Paddington and then a car to take you to Pinewood or Pineapple Studios. I said, no, it's only at Covent Garden. I can walk.
Yeah.
So I was cancelling all these cars that they were booking for me because I wanted to walk from
Yeah.
Paddington. It was only like a mile and a half. And it's a good way for me to warm up. And I love walking through London, or if I'm in Birmingham, I love walking around. I don't want to get in a taxi. I like to walk around and stuff. So yeah, so I'm always telling the companies, no, don't book a taxi, just an earlier train, and I'll walk to wherever I need to go. And so yeah, I'm quite cheap like that for them. So
You are cheap. Yeah. That's a different question altogether. Coffee or tea? Coffee or tea?
oh, now first thing in the morning, I do like a cup of tea, but generally I'll drink coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, so
And
I
have you
like
got
both, but I think coffee's just got it at the moment.
coffee's got it at the moment. Now I know you mentioned earlier you don't watch that much TV, but
No.
have you got a favourite TV programme apart from Ski Sunday, of course?
I like first dates.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do
I
you know
love
what?
first
You and
dates.
Zoe can have an evening together if you want.
Yeah, and first dates hotel. Well, they've asked me to do the show a couple of times.
Right.
But I've always refused so far. But whether I'll refuse again, I don't know, because it was for charity, and it would have been £5 for charity, which would have been nice. And I thought, well, I might meet somebody out of it. You never know.
Yeah.
But I do love the show, and one of these days, if they ask me, I think, well, yeah, why not? I'll do it and see what happens. They've asked me to do first dates and first dates hotel, but I've
Okay.
refused both of them so far. But one of these days, I will do it. But yeah, they're my favourite shows. And then after that, it's things like Grand Designs. I like Grand Designs because of the building side. I'm always into that kind of thing as well. So
Yeah. No, as I say, Zoe loves all of those. What's it? Say yes to the dress. When I look on our BT box, and it's got like 12% free, and I'm like, why have we got 12% free? And then you look at the recordings, and there's 142 recordings of Say Yes to the Dress. Blimey. And then First Dates Hotel has got about 40 recordings as well.
yes,
Blimey,
yes.
when is she actually ever going to watch these?
Yeah, and I can never work it out. Sometimes it's obvious. Oh yeah, he's into her or she's into him or whatever. But most of the time, I cannot work it out at all. And they don't look as if they're enjoying the date. And then all of a sudden, I'll go on a second date. I thought,
Yeah.
my God, you look like you had a face like a slapped arse, and yet you're saying yes, I'll go on a second date. I have no idea. I cannot read women at all. So
No, I can't read anyone, let alone women. And here's the last question for you then in our quick fire part. If you came back in your next life as an animal, which one would it be and why?
oh, I think I'd come back as a cat.
Oh, it's a popular answer, a cat. But
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, because I like cats because they're independent. They'll let you stroke them if they want you to. If they don't, you'll get scratched or they'll walk away. They very minimal maintenance. I can go away for a week and the cat will be fine. If I had a dog, oh my God, it would be a nightmare trying to find somebody to look after the dog. Whereas a cat, yeah, it's fine. It will go and find somewhere to eat and sleep. It's fine.
I was going to say, for your
So
lifestyle, it's definitely because you're obviously not always at home.
that's
So,
right, and so I think it's sort of based on my sort of the way I am now. I think in my next life, yes, I think a cat would be just like me now, really. So yeah, I think I would come back as a cat, as long as it's
yeah, I
a
think the
nice
worst answer,
fluffy cat.
I think the worst answer anyone could give would be a mosquito. We
Yeah,
had a very strange scenario last night in our
yeah.
bedroom.
I
When
want to
you're
come back
laying
as a
there,
wasp.
when you're laying there and you hear that zzz, like that, and you're like, oh no. And we turned the lights on and we got up, and I'll admit it, the mosquitoes didn't survive this experience,
No,
sadly. Okay, but we were there with tissues, there was two of them in the end, and we were there with tissues trying to catch these mosquitoes. And you know what? They were slippery. They would
yeah,
just, every time we put the tissue towards them, they'd just go, and fly
Yeah.
away somewhere else.
Oh yes.
But,
Oh yes. It's like the Kung Fu Kid, isn't it? With the
yeah, that's it. Karate Kid
trying to,
catching the fly with this. Yeah,
yes.
that was a horrible experience, but there we go.
Yeah, I
Right,
can't think of anybody wanting to come back as a mosquito. Oh, yeah.
no,
A
I'm
wasp,
still
maybe.
waiting for that. A wasp,
Yeah. A
mosquito,
wasp. Yeah,
any.
there's a few people I'd like to sting, but
Well, we're not going down that route today. This has been a fun
yeah,
interview.
yeah.
Not one of those. Well, Mike, it genuinely has been an absolute pleasure. I'm so delighted I've managed to ask you a question that you've never been asked before after all your thousands of interviews.
Yeah.
Didn't think it was going to be relating to
I
what
didn't
grip you
think
have
it
on a
was going to
tennis
be
racket,
possible.
but I have done it. So my life is complete now.
Oh,
Um,
well, I'm glad I could assist.
you have done very much so. So, Mike Edwards, this has been your life off the stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you.